In this lecture, we'll begin again with the revolutions of 1848. The reason for that is I want to help you see the connection between the last lecture of our last module and how that frames the developments in a lot of the countries that we're talking about in this module, so seeing those connections. Now, if you remember, Austria suffered a great deal during the revolutions of 1848. The German liberals rise up against the monarch. He is pushed out. A new, supposedly more liberal emperor takes his place, Franz Joseph. But at the same time, Austria suffers from a number of national uprisings that have to be quelled through violence. Now, things don't go well, though, for even the German liberals, because as we talked about, the Emperor Franz Joseph, once he reasserts control, doesn't honor his promises to the German liberals. He turns against them, and he promotes a much more conservative government. But you may have noticed something a little bit odd about this lecture, namely its title, because through the beginning of this course, all we've been discussing is, well, Austria, the state of Austria that is formed and fights against the Ottoman Empire, the state of Austria that joins the wars of coalition against Napoleon, the Austria led by Metternich that promotes the Congress of Vienna system. And now we're talking about an Austria-Hungary. So how exactly did we get to this point? Why are we talking about an Austria-Hungary? Well, here what you should see is the interconnectedness of all of the struggles that we've been talking about. I tried to, in the previous lecture, help you see the connections between Italy and Germany and their actions, and you should see how that already also carries an effect into the state of Austria as well. If you remember, during the Austro-Prussian War, the Austrians go to war with Prussia and suffer a grave defeat. Bismarck arranges the war in such a way the German states go against Austria. The primed Prussian military is able to overawe and defeat the Austrian state. And in many ways, the Austrian state at the end of 1866, at the end of this war against the Prussians, is near the end of its rope, near a state of collapse. And fundamentally, Austria needed to redefine itself in order to survive. And so in 1867, they agreed to what was known as the Austro-Hungarian Compromise. And so what does this compromise put in place? Well, functionally, in place of Austria and in place of an Austrian empire dominated by Germans, Austrians, they instead created a new state. Austria-Hungary, a dual monarchy. And thus in this flag you see what Austria-Hungary really is. It's one flag, a unified country, but instead is a United States of two autonomous halves, the half of Austria and the half of Hungary, a joined state as part of a dual monarchy. So how does this actually work? Austria-Hungary functioned as a dual monarchy. The Kingdom of Austria-Hungary would have the same monarch. Franz Joseph would be Emperor of Austria and King of Hungary. And there would be sort of common military actions and cabinet officials, but largely these two spheres would be run independently. There would be separate parliaments for Austria and Hungary. There would be separate currencies and separate passports. But they would have a common foreign policy under their dual monarch, Franz Joseph. Now, while this compromise serves as a settling of the ethnic tensions that had existed between Hungary and Austria for many years, it didn't put an end to that problem for the now Austro-Hungarian state. Indeed, ethnic nationalism was going to continue to be a problem for Austro-Hungary. And indeed, this only got worse as the Austro-Hungarian state expanded southwards into the Balkans. In 1908, they annexed the provinces of Bosnia-Herzegovina. This is part of the power politics of the era. They want to show their dominance. They want to expand their state. And that's all well and good, but what it does as a corollary is just serve to create more ethnic problems for the Austrian state, because every expansion in the Balkans just means that they're drawing in more ethnic minorities, whether they're Croatian or Serbian, leading to more and more ethnic tension. So while the Compromise of 1867 seems to solve the problem of nationalism, at least dealing with the Hungarians, it means that the multi-ethnic Austro-Hungarian state is still going to struggle with nationalism and ethnic interests well until its collapse at the end of the First World War.